I am still very sensitive to something that I said after Michigan won the national championship.
Okay.
In the immediate aftermath of Michigan winning that national championship game a couple years back over Washington, we got 11 minutes into the episode. 11 minutes. I went back. I checked this morning just to make sure that I was right. 11 minutes into that episode before I brought up all of this with Michigan.
Okay.
And at the time, my comment was, hey, we don't know what the NCAA is going to say about all this.
It's not unreasonable.
I'm not much for vacating wins, but at least at that point in time, there were a lot of people sending in thoughts about that.
Mm-hmm.
That this isn't going to count in a couple years when they lower the boom on Michigan in response to the sign stealing thing, whatever Connor Stalions did. At the time, we didn't know as much as we do now. A lot of Michigan fans took exception to that.
Sure.
I didn't want to lead the show with that news because at this point, we're recording several days after it's all been released, about a week after. So now we have some actual notice from the NCAA. What does this amount to? It's a big fine, some probation, some show causes that have been thrown about, Dan. But ultimately, Michigan gets to keep its national championship.
Right.
Ultimately, Michigan might have something of a reduction in on-campus visits and some things here and there. But I don't think the NCAA really, quote-unquote, lowered the boom on Michigan the way that
I think the boom days are over, Ty.
The way that many out there would have hoped.
Sure.
So Michigan's going to be just fine. Michigan, as I said a few moments ago, is 12th in this preseason poll. What was your reaction to the news that Michigan was being punished or in some cases not being punished by the NCAA?
Not much reaction. So we've had punishments previously with Jim Harbaugh sitting out games and obviously coaches leaving, or obviously the big employee in Connor Stalions. Look, the information that came out is not like the most damning ever, and part of that is because a lot of evidence and obstruction was involved. A lot of evidence was destroyed, I think, at the bottom of a pond or multiple ponds, which is where phones ended up.
Sure.
I think this is a two things being true situation. One, Michigan won a national championship, right? Michigan did. They won a national championship. They won a bunch of games. Also, by the letter of the NCAA's law, to whatever extent you care or put weight in that or zero weight in the NCAA's rule of law, Michigan was a big-time cheating program, right? For a stretch of time, Michigan was a big-time cheating program per the NCAA. You might not think it. I might not think it. But in the eyes of the NCAA, the only real governing body we have, for better or for much, much worse.
In very tenuous air quotes, yes.
Michigan was a big old cheating program. And I assume Michigan people are okay with it. I assume a lot of college football people are okay with it. But, we shouldn't fully ignore that reality, right?
Sure.
And look, they've paid for it. They've had coaches do their time. They will have Jim Harbaugh never, ever coach that team again, but he delivered a championship. There are show causes. Head coach is going to miss another game. I think not this year, but next year. He's missing, games 3 and 4 this year?
Yep.
So they're being punished like a program that is a big-time cheating program in the eyes of the NCAA is being punished. Not in the same way that they used to by, forfeiting games or, removing Heismans, anything like that, or other trophies. And I guess to the NCAA's credit that they're saying that they're not going to punish future players and current players for the crimes of past people that were in charge. So that's good because that makes sense.
That shows growth, I think. Absolutely.
But it also sort of shines a brighter light on how much the NCAA just completely trashed teams like Ohio State and USC and Miami, schools like that. So I don't think you should feel better if you're a fan of one of those teams. So here we are. At least I guess we have some closure. So there's that.
There is
but
that.
that's what I thought about. I was like, it was not a report of oh man, that was all overblown. That's on us, guys. That was not the report that came from the NCAA. I don't think people are going to think about this for a second moving forward. But yeah, that was our conclusion as a college football society.
I was curious to see what the NCAA was going to do, not because I expected anything too salacious, but because in this era of college football, it seemed like this was maybe their last best chance to exert something of real hard compliance, right? The NCAA has definitely been minimized in this new era of college football. Frankly, it has been afraid to go out after really anybody or anything for fear of lawsuits. It just isn't created the same way as it used to be. It's a different ecosystem nowadays. And so this I saw as maybe its last best chance to show that it still has some muscle in this whole conversation.
Right.
You know, we can debate whether or not it was enough of a punishment that was handed down. I saw plenty of Ohio State people online saying, it wasn't enough. It was
Sure.
That debate is going to be, I think, raging for years to come. That's not going to be a new thing. It certainly hasn't been new for the last couple of years. So it's very much status quo on that front.
Do you think people in what year is this? 2025, 2033, 2039, when there are, hold on, not Michigan people. Do you think when somebody brings up Jim Harbaugh and they're all like the 49ers and the Chargers, they won all those Super Bowls with Justin Herbert, hooray. Do you think when they get to that Michigan part of the conversation and they're saying, they finally broke through, had a real tough time getting to that level, but they won that national championship in 2020, whatever. It was the 2023 season, right? Do you think there will be the comma, and there was that wild Connor Stalions and institutional spying thing involved in that whole run?
No.
You don't think so?
I don't.
I think it depends on the fan base discussing it amongst themselves.
It depends on the fan base.
I think Michigan State fans, Ohio State fans, Penn State fans, I think it will. Somebody will be like, so skip to detail about that run of Michigan teams. Yeah.
The problem that I have with that school of thought is I'm not all that worked up about this.
No,
I'm not, and I haven't really ever been, contrary to popular
belief.
No,
that's not true. You've been worked up in a good way about all the very specific details of the story. I've gotten so many texts and messages from you like, can't get enough.
Well, and look, sign stealing is a dark art.
Of course.
That exists in all of sports.
In person against the rules, sign stealing. Yeah. Advanced scouting in person. Yeah.
It is some iteration of this is present across the board in sports. I don't care what sport it is. So I always had a hard time getting too worked up over this. Whether or not it's against the rules, that's probably a separate conversation. But for me, it never really moved the needle all that much. It was still a good team. We saw that team with our own eyes. They won games even after this was common knowledge that it was going on. Did it help? Did it hurt? I don't know. Okay,
I don't think it can hurt, but yeah.
I don't think it can hurt. But the degree to which it helped, that, we can debate that until the end of time.
Sure.
Frankly, I'm just glad it's over. I'm glad we can move past this now, and we can talk about the 2025 season, and we don't have to sit here and worry about what's going to happen in Michigan. It always felt to me like it was going to end up like this. The more time that passed between the initial bombshells that broke and where we are now, it just seemed almost a certainty that they weren't going to dismantle the program. They weren't going to go out on a limb. They weren't going to. Just seems like this was always going to be a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And look, Ty, we've all also moved on to the fact that this is a Tiger state now. Best team in the American League at time of recording, Jason Benetti calling those games for the Detroit Tigers. That's all.